fine. Oh, perfect. Good evening. Glad to be here for the first time. And I see there's a lot of different crowds here, from all different levels. I'm going to try to make a mixture of a few different lectures. Some I'm going to try to give in the beginning some scientific proof, and then I would rather go into questions and answers, because since I don't know what subject each one here prefers to talk about, I will let you ask. And you can ask me questions in different topics. You know that in the last two lectures that we did in Brooklyn here, I mainly spoke about scientific proof. The Torah, the Jewish Torah, can be proven scientifically. Any other religious book from 80,000 religions and cults cannot be proven scientifically. Not only that, it can be proven as a human error book, which means people like me and you wrote it. They lie to the people who they gave the book, and they claim that God gave them the book, but it takes 5 to 10 minutes to prove that the other religion books are really not correct. And they were full of mistakes. They are full of mistakes, full of errors and contradictions, and many others. The only book in history that nobody was able to ever find one mistake is the Jewish Torah. I'm going to try to show things that, as far as I remember, I did not show last time when I was in Brooklyn here. And if you have questions about it, then we'll take it from there. You know that when the Torah was given to us in Mount Sinai, in those 4 years that we were in the desert, and especially in Mount Sinai, that it was written in the Oral Torah. You couldn't do anything without the Oral Torah. The main Judaism is Oral Torah. If you look at the entire mitzvot, 630 mitzvot, you can't do one mitzvah without checking carefully in the Oral Torah what needs to be done. Nobody can do one mitzvah, not even one, without the Oral Torah. If you take away the Oral Torah, you don't have religion, you don't have the truth, you don't have instruction, you don't have anything. So that's one thing. You may ask, how do I know the Oral Torah is really from God? Maybe the rabbis made it up. Maybe people wrote it. So the answer is that when Moshe Rabbeinu received the Torah, the written and the Oral Torah, obviously if he brought down the written Torah to the people with many, many names of mitzvot, 630 mitzvot, it's impossible that God would give a book with so many instructions and nowhere will explain how to do even one of them. It's impossible. It doesn't make any sense. It's God we're talking here. We're not talking about a foolish person that gave the Torah. So the answer is, it's impossible that God will give us the Torah in such a way and will give us such serious warning in the entire text that if we're not going to do it, we're going to be punished severely, or we're going to lose, and so forth and so on. And in the end, there's never going to be anywhere any instruction how to do. I'll give 2 examples. God said that a Jew has to put feeling. But if you check in the entire text of the Torah, you don't find the word feeling. You don't know how to put it, where to put it, when to put it, how to make it. None of these things is in the Torah. So if we would have to base our tradition on the written Torah, the only thing the written Torah says that we have to put a sign on our hand. Which sign it did not describe. Which hand it did not say. Where on the hand it did not say. What to put it did not say. How to make it doesn't say. Male, female, children. So when is it kosher, when is it not kosher? All these things are not in the written Torah. So obviously, when we see in a divine book that God says to the nation of Israel, this is a covenant between me and you. This is a sign to put it on your heart and on your brain every day. And it doesn't say anywhere what to put and how to put, doesn't make sense. Then, circumcision, Brit Milah. Where does it say how to do Brit Milah? Nowhere in the Torah. If you check the entire Torah, the only thing the Torah says that every male born in the 8th day, you must cut his olah. Where is the olah? The Torah did not say. What is it? Nobody knew until that moment. And what happened if the baby is yellow? What happened if he's on Shabbat? What happened if it's on Yom Tov? What happened if you had already 2 brothers that you circumcised and they died? What do you do with the 3rd one? There's so many hundreds of things. Which tools you're using? All these brachot, how to do it, what to do. There's no way to know. There's no way to know. So obviously we see any mitzvah you're trying to do without the oral Torah, you wouldn't be able to. But obviously it started somewhere. Moshe came down and he told them how to do it. Where did he bring all these laws? Obviously Moshe Rabbeinu did not sit and invented thousands of laws for each mitzvah, instructions how to do it from his own opinion. It's impossible because the Torah says that God referred to Moshe, do it as the way I showed you in the mountain. That means he showed him movies for each mitzvah, how to do this, which animals are kosher, which animals are what, how to do the slaughtering. It's called oral Torah. Only later, before Moshe died, he wrote the entire Torah and gave it to each tribe, and from then on, for 3,300 years, we have the written Torah in our hand, as passed from father to son, as you can see, we're reading it, for 3,300 years. Now, when you come to challenge the oral Torah, you're going to find that the oral Torah has divine information in it, which leaves no doubt this information could not be given by a regular person. Only the Creator of the world could give such a thing. There are many prophecies in the oral Torah, inside the Mishnayot, inside the Gemara, that shows and leaves no doubt that only the Creator of the world was able to give the nation of Israel such information. In the last lecture, I spoke about the number of the stars. I showed that the Gemara in Masechet Brachot, page 32, describe how many stars God created in the world, in the universe. And obviously, up to 400 years ago, nobody knew that there's more than 6,000 stars, because there's no way to count more. But the Torah and the oral Torah that was written approximately 2,000 years ago, the Torah already said that there's 1 to the power of 19 stars. If you calculate the number of the Gemara, which leaves no doubt that no person, no human being would even imagine to write 2,000 years ago in a book that there's billions and trillions of stars, when you can only count 6,000. Where did he get this information from? Another example that I gave was the renewal of the moon. The renewal of the moon, the Gemara in Masechet Rosh Hashanah, speaking about Rabban Gamliel, that 200 people came that day and said, we think that right now it's the renewal of the moon. And he told them it's impossible. We have in tradition information that we received from Mount Sinai that passed from father to son until it got to this generation, that was 1,300 years after we got the Torah, that we have a minimum. The renewal of the moon can never be less than 29 days and a half and 2/3 of the hour and 73 parts of the minute, which gives us a very interesting number like 29.530,859,00000, right? It's a very long number. And NASA and the Germans, with their satellites, with billions of dollars, they came to the same number of the Torah, even though the Torah did not, at the time of Chachamim, they did not have satellites or mega computer to measure the renewal of the moon, with a difference of 1/10,000th of a second. You take a second, divide it to 10,000 parts, that's the difference between what NASA found and the Germans to what the Torah told us 2,000 years or 3,000 years ago. So obviously, what person could give such information 2,000 years ago when we didn't even have a calculator? We didn't even have a watch. I'm not talking about ways to measure the renewal of the moon and astronomy and all these things. So this is some of the examples we showed last time. Today, I want to show something else. This is a part in the Gemara, Masechet Megillah. The Gemara brings a story about Jacob, Yaakov Avinu, the brother of Esau. For those who know history, then you would know that the Jews and the Nazis were really brothers. They came from the same mother. Rivka had two sons. One is Yaakov and one is Esau. Throughout the generations, Esau turned into Haman, Agag, Hitler. All these bad people came from this person called Esau. And from Yaakov, the Jews came, the nation of Israel. So at one point, even though there were enemies in their life already, Yaakov and Esau, but at one point the problem became really serious. The Gemara brings a discussion that Yaakov had with God. He was asking Hashem not to let his brother Esau succeed in his mission. Let's see what Yaakov had to tell Hashem about approximately 3,400 years ago, actually 3,500 years ago. Let's see the discussion, and we're going to find something very interesting. So, the Gemara says, Amar Rabbi Yitzchak says, what is it, the meaning of this pasuk, of this verse? Al titen Hashem ha'avayer hashaz mamo al tafeh. What's the meaning of this pasuk? Amar Yaakov lifnei HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Jacob, Yaakov Avinu, said in front of God, the Master of the universe, please do not let my brother Esau, the wicked one, succeed in his mission. This is Germany of Edom, that if they're going out to the world, they're going to destroy the entire world. Kem Rabbi Chama Bar Chanina, there are 300 tribes in Germany of Edom. If you know a little bit history about Germany, then you know there was a person called Bismarck, less than 200 years ago approximately. So he gathered all the barbarian tribes. There were many barbarian tribes. There was no Germany yet. No country called Germany. So let's put it that way. 300-400 years ago, if you ask someone in Europe, where is Germany? There was no Germany. No country called Germany yet. This part that I just read to you was written approximately 2,000 years ago. But it was given to us in Mount Sinai 3,319 years ago. So that means 3,100 years before there was a country called Germany, the Yaakov Avinu in his vision see that his brother Esau one day become Hitler. He sees it already. And he has a conversation with Hashem, and it was written in the Torah, in the oral Torah. What did he say? Don't let him succeed, because that's going to be Germany of Edom. Now, Bismarck saw many tribes, Bavaria, Schleswig, Westphalia. This is all tribes that were barbarian tribes. He gathered them and he made them into the German Republic. He made them into the German Republic. And only later they made it into Germany. So Germany is not even more than 150 years old. That's Germany. Now, how many tribes Bismarck gathered to one nation and they called it Germany? How many? The Torah told us 300. The Gemara says there will be 300 tribes in this country called Germany. Now you have to remember, this is divine information. If you're going to find a mistake in it, you cannot rely on it anymore. Why? Because the divine book, a book that was received from God, is not capable of making mistakes. You're going to find one mistake, that's it. You cannot rely on it. As you remember, for those who watched the debate that I made with a Christian professor, the rule which he agreed with me, every normal human being would have to agree, if this book is claimed to be the work of God, then you cannot find any mistakes over there. If you find one mistake, you cannot rely on the rest. And that's a solid rule to something that's supposed to be from God. If it's books that rabbis wrote it based on their own understanding or knowledge, rabbis is people, they can make mistakes. Okay. I can write a book and make mistakes because I'm a person. But if I write what God told Moshe in Har Sinai, and if you find it, and I claim this is what we receive in Har Sinai, in Mount Sinai, and you're going to find one mistake over there, then you cannot rely on Mount Sinai anymore. So it's going to create a serious problem. So let's see a little bit about history, about Germany. This is a part from the encyclopedia, from the Hebrew encyclopedia, but you can find it everywhere you go, in every encyclopedia you want. You go to the word Germany, in the Hebrew encyclopedia, encyclopedia. It's page 432 if you want to check in Hebrew. And this is what it says. The political crash of Germany had financial impact. 300 tribes and the free city kept their independence and made the trade very difficult. So what we see here, without knowing the Gemara, without knowing the Torah, as the history of Germany, they admit, Germany became a country from 300 different tribes. Do you remember what the Gemara says? The Gemara says, Klat mea ktiri taga ika beGermania shel Edom. 300 tribes are in this Germany of Edom. This is close to 2,000 years ago. It was written. But it was given 3,319 years ago in Mount Sinai, that from this person named Esav, one day there will be a country called Germany that almost will destroy the entire world, that will be created from 300 tribes. Just imagine if the encyclopedia would say 299. We would have a serious fun. So
but if it was written, if it's already given, why does it happen?
What? Why did what happen?
Why people did not take this into account?
Why did people did not take what into account? That one day Germany will go and try to destroy the entire world?
Yeah.
People did take it into the account, but what could they do? They were too strong. I want to read to you a part. This is a part from conversations that the interview Hitler. He was answering questions, but I want to show you the things that came out of his mouth, how exactly is word by word the word of the Torah, without realizing what he's saying. Yes, we are barbarians. It's an honor to us. I'm releasing human beings from the spiritual cords and from the tortures of the illusion that call conscious and ethic. Two defects Judaism brought to humanity. One in the body by circumcision, one in the soul by conscience. This is a Jewish invention. The war on controlling the world is only between us, between those two sides, the Germans and the Jews, and all the rest is all illusion. This is exactly what the Torah described when Yaakov and Esav are about to be born. They begin to fight. Right away, Yaakov pushed to spirituality, to the truth. Esav pushed to the nonsense, to Avodah Zarah, to be wicked throughout their life. You see how the Torah described Yaakov, how the Torah described Esav. One thing the Goyim cannot stand, that the Jews taught the world ethic, Musar, and the Jews are teaching and preaching for 3,300 years that there's Ayin Ro'ah, there's an eye who watch over you, the Ozen Shomat, and there's an ear that listens to everything you say and do. וכל מעשיך בספר נכתבים, and everything you are doing is being registered in the book of God. Plus, after a person dies, he has 1 year trial. 1 year. That's why we say Kaddish for 1 year, for the deceased people. Why? Because each one of us, you cannot escape it, it's a part of life. Once the soul will be separated from the body, each one of us will have to report and to answer many, many questions, a serious investigation. Why did we do this? Why we didn't do that? Why did we create this damage? And why did we do that bad thing? And plus, the good things that we did. So it's up to us. It's all in our hands. As the Rambam writes, we have a complete free choice to do good or bad. It's only 100% in our hands. I would like to give one other example. As he mentioned, circumcision, according to his understanding, it's a defect. But the truth is that the Torah says it's the opposite. A person is born with a defect, and after he's been circumcised, he becomes perfect, as far as physically. Right? But, let's see what the Torah had to tell us about circumcision. The Torah says, and God told Abraham, this is the covenant that you're going to keep between me and you, between your descendants after you, and between the descendants that you're going to have after you. You circumcise every male born. You circumcise the Olah, and that's going to be a sign between me and you. 8 days you will circumcise every male born for generations to come, forever. Right? Now, we have to ask a question. Why from all the days of our life, God chose the 8th day? Why not a month? Why not 10 days? Why not 3 days? Why did He choose from all the days the 8th day? What's the answer? In order for us to answer that, let's see first what the scientists have to say about our body. In a physical way, until 8 days old, the liver begins to recuperate, is maturing and improving its activity. In the 8th day, there is enough clogging material in the blood that can prevent bleeding, that the baby is able to pass the circumcision with success. In 1953, a research that was published in New York 55 years ago, this is what the Goyim, the scientists, had to say about circumcision. It says like this: while when the baby is born, from day 1 until the 8th day, there is not enough clogging material, vitamin K, what we call today vitamin K, is not enough vitamin K in the blood. And after the 8 days, it's getting to 100% vitamin K to prevent bleeding and wounds and all kinds of things that we may have in our life. But in the 8th day, something unbelievable is happening. In the 8th day, and only in the 8 days, the vitamin K level in the blood reached 110%. 110%. So we find something very interesting. A person may live 70, 80, or 90 years here, but there's only one day in his life that he gets extra 10% vitamin K to help him prevent bleeding. Because remember, when a person bleeds too long, he may die. So since the body is going to lose a lot of blood in that day, there's one day that God made extra 10% vitamin K to help to prevent bleeding fast after such a cut, and that's the 8th day of the life of a person. Now, if a person wanted to make this mitzvah, some people think that people wrote the Torah, or someone made it up. What person 3,300 years ago would know such a thing? That there's in the 8th day of life, it's a special day that the person needs extra 10% plugging material. We all went to the Western world, or read or watched it through pictures. We have a tradition that it's the holiest place in the world today. Even the Goyim comes every day to pray there, as we all know. But not that many people know that there's a secret around this world. One of the prophecies that the Torah told us is that the Western world will never ever fall down. Which means, if God forbid the world will be knocked down by anyone, even naturally, that would be a big problem for Judaism. Why? Because the Torah promised that God swore to the Western world that it will never fall down. We read on Friday night in Shir HaShirim a very important sentence, but we're not always paying attention. It says, here is the wall is standing, that we're able to watch it. Here it is, that means in a present language. What is the oral Torah has to tell us about that? This is what it says. Amar Rabbi Acha, the Spirit of God is never moving from the Western world. As the Shir HaShirim says, Shir HaShirim is a part of the Tanakh, the 24 books of the Tanakh. Here it is, our wall, western wall of Bet HaMikdash. Why? Because God swore to it that it would never be destroyed. So now, for those who did not know, there were many, many times that the Goyim came to destroy the Holy Temple and Jerusalem. First time, 2,600 years ago, when the Babylonians came, they destroyed the other three walls, but they did not touch the western wall. When the Romans came to destroy the second temple, they destroyed three walls, but they did not touch the western wall. When the Greeks came to burn Bet HaMikdash and impure all the oils, as we celebrate Hanukkah for that, they came all the way there to destroy, but the wall is still standing. In between there were many, many wars. The Muslims, the Armenians, the Seljukim, the Turkish, the Ottomani, the British, the Babylonians, so many countries that came and occupied the area. Each one of them come to control the place. None of them wanted to leave any memory from Judaism. 1400 years ago, when the Muslims came to build the mosque right there, they had a problem. What was the problem? The mountain was very high, and the old people, if they build a mosque on a mountain, they would not be able to climb every Friday to go pray in the mosque. So they had two options. One option is to shave the mountain and make it lower, and then build the mosque. And it's only going to be a minute to climb, that's it. The other option is to elevate entire Jerusalem, the whole area, to elevate the ground, to make it higher. What's easier? To shave a little mountain, like 1,000 by 1,000 feet, or to elevate the entire city? What's more difficult? To elevate the city, right? To shave the mountain, it's much, much easier. You take 1,000 workers with shovel, they work a week, finished. You lower the mountain, finished, no big deal. But to make the entire city higher, it's a very big job. For those who went to the western wall under the ground, they have a tour there. They show you that they elevated the entire ground by 2 more floors, by making arches. Did you see that? Who went there underneath? They show you the arches that they made, and they made another floor, and then arches again, and they made so much harder work for themselves. The question is, you may think the Arabs are dumb, but you have to agree that they're not that dumb. So the question is, where did he get such a foolish idea to work 100 times more to elevate the entire city? The answer is, it's not in their hand. It's not in their hand. Why? In a divine book, the only divine book was given to this world, to the Jews. There is a promise. God swore to the Jews, the wall will never fall down, never collapse. If they would shave the mountain, they would have to shave the wall with it, because the wall is on the side of the mountain, right? It's the side of the mountain. Shaving the mountain, lowering the wall. Shaving the mountain, making the wall disappear. Since the Torah promised nobody can touch the wall, God confused them, and they had to work 100 times more to make Yerushalayim higher. Now, the question that I have, what person can write such prophecy in a book? One person can take such a risk. Just think about it. If we are in this wall, in this room, we have 4 different walls. I come and I swear. Anyone wants to know if this is the book of God, let's make a deal. This wall, that wall, and the other wall, you can knock down in an hour, no problem. But this wall, nobody can ever knock down. If you knock down this wall, that means my book is nothing. It's not God, no nothing. But as long as you see nobody can knock this wall down, then you know this prophecy of Hashem and Hashem protecting the wall. What person will take such a risk? Especially when the Goyim came so many times to destroy the area, and he was always right again and again and again. I give one last proof, and then we go to questions and answers. You know, when you breathe, the air that we breathe, it's a mixture of few different things. One is oxygen. 78% is Hankan. How do you say Hankan in English?
Nitrogen.
Nitrogen, very good. Nitrogen. 20% oxygen. So how much altogether? 98%. Argon, 1%, so it's 99%. Then there's other materials, as you can see here, 0.033% and 0.066% different gases. We have in air. And it's echo here, so every whisper that people whisper here, I hear very loud. So this is what we need to breathe in order for us to survive. Let's imagine that instead of 20% oxygen, we will have a little bit less, 17, 16%. What would happen? Almost every person in the world will have asthma, cannot breathe. Why? It's not enough oxygen to breathe.
Turn off all cell phone, please, everyone.
Turn off on usage.
So if we would have less than 20%, everyone will have difficulty to breathe. If we would have more than 20%, 25% oxygen, the next time one of you would light a cigarette, it would burn the entire world. Why? Because oxygen is very dangerous to fire. Every place they have oxygen balloons, they have signs, warning, no fire permitted. Why? You light a cigarette, in 1 second the entire world is going on fire. So we need really 20%. How do you know that you're always going to have 20% oxygen? What determines how much oxygen and how many other gas we're going to have in air? How? What's determined how we're always going to have 20% oxygen? The answer is the trees. The trees and the animals. The trees and the animals. In order for us to live, the trees and the animals. If we will not have in this world trees and animals, we wouldn't be able to live here. So we owe our life to the animals and to the trees. Why? Why? Trees release oxygen to the air. Animals release, how do you say that?
Carbon dioxide.
No. What did you say before?
Nitrogen.
Nitrogen. So the trees, no, you're right.
The trees breathe in carbon dioxide and breathe out oxygen.
Right, exactly.
The animals breathe in oxygen.
Exactly.
Balance.
Exactly. So they take in the oxygen and they release other gases that we need for our life. Now let's assume that we will kill millions of animals. What would happen? We're going to have problems. Why? Because we're going to have a difference and it's not going to be 20%. Or if there's going to be fire or some tragedy that will destroy millions of trees, it's going to create problems. So in order for us to live, we always need a balance between the trees and the animals. If this balance will not kept, either we're going to suffer from problems with breathing or the whole world will go on fire. Is it possible to think that thousands of years this balance never been destroyed by coincidence? Or we must come to a conclusion that we have a supervisor that makes sure that we're always going to have enough animals and enough trees for us to always have 20% to breathe. Because if we're going to have less animals, or too many animals, or too many trees, we're not going to be able to live. So is it possible that a person can control the entire world? Do you know one person that knows how many trees the world has? Do you know one person that knows how many animals the world has? Can a person control animals and trees to know, to make sure there's always going to be 20%?
No.
And believe it or not, there are professors in many universities that still standing today and saying that this world was made by coincidence, an explosion, a random Big Bang or anything like this, which doesn't even make a bit of a sense, nothing. It's such nonsense that when we begin to challenge that, they get confused. They don't really know what to answer, but they continue again and again and again with this nonsense theory that there's nothing to back it up with. I will give one last thing actually, which is also interesting. You know, every material, once you heat it up, it expands. Once you freezing it, once you're cooling it, it begins to shrink. Everything in nature is like this, also the water. The water is also like this. But the water, it's an exception to the rule. Why? Because the creator of the world knew that if the water will behave like this 100%, then everybody here will die within a year. From the time he will create the world, probably a year or two later, everyone will be dead. Why? Because once you begin to freeze the water, once the water gets to 4 degrees Celsius, in European degrees, European temperature, 0 degrees Celsius, it's freezing.
Yeah.
Here it's 32 Fahrenheit. But Celsius is 0%. So if you get to 4 degrees, then it's begin to get too close to freezing. So now, when you cool the water shrinks. Also, what would happen if the water continues to shrink when it gets to 0? The top of the oceans will freeze and fall down to the bottom. And then a few hours later, the top will freeze and fall down to the bottom. And then a few hours later, the top will freeze and fall down to the bottom. So within a week or 2 or a month, the latest, the entire water in the world, 72% of the world is water, will become all like big rock of cement. The ocean, you can walk on it. It will be all freezing and for a period of 4, 5, 6 months, depending where you are. What would happen? All the fish will die. We will have a serious problem. We wouldn't have water. We would not be able to live. No water. So came the creator of the world and told the water, do me a favor. Don't behave like you're supposed to. When you get to 4 degrees Celsius, don't continue to shrink. What happens? Start to expand. Flip over, turn around, and do the opposite of what you're supposed to do. Why? I don't want my people to die. So what happened? Once the water gets to 10, 9, 8, 7, as long as it goes down, it's shrinking. It's beginning to, supposedly to freeze. Once it gets to 4 degrees, it begins to expand. Nobody can explain such a thing. Why? That's the only way to live here. If the water would behave like all the other materials in the world, we wouldn't be able to live here. And many, many other examples that leaves us no doubt what beauty the creation has. And that's basically it for now as far as schools. Now I'd like to open time for questions, not necessarily about what we saw, but also about that. If you have any other questions that you want to take an opportunity now to ask, please. Yes?
Yeah, is what you're saying available on DVD or on the internet to be looked at?
Divineinformation.com. I have my cards here. Anyone who's interested can have it.
Can I go back to that question, the first one I asked? Because God provided all the information in us, and you said that Germany was too strong. Why does not take into account and make the nation stronger if the people can use that information?
First of all, there are information that we always knew, but there's still nothing we can do about it. You have to understand, the Holocaust came to the Jewish nation not because it had to happen. We brought it to ourselves. For a period of 100 years approximately before it happened, the Jews that lived in Europe slowly left religion and became more and more assimilated with the Goyim. They changed their names, they changed their culture, they put the yarmulke in a pocket and then they put it in the garbage. They shaved their beards, they started to marry non-Jewish girls, they got jobs, lawyers, doctors, sitting in courts, driving on Shabbat, opening businesses on Shabbat, eating not kosher, dancing with German women on all kinds of parties. And eventually, as the Torah always warned, that when the Jews leave their God, there's no purpose for this world. So there are two possibilities. Either God will destroy the world and finish the best, and we're all going to fail, or just take the people away. Now, if he takes the people away, what does he do with them? Sometimes he reincarnates them in a new body. So he took 6 million Jews, not necessarily they really died, he just took them from this world, and he put them back in life in different bodies. So he took Mr. Rosenberg, he was 7 years old, the Nazis burned him. They only burned the body. 5 seconds after they put him in the oven, the soul was released. The soul went up to the court of heaven. Now God has many options. One is to send him to heaven, depending on how righteous he was. If he was righteous, then that's going to be a punishment for the little sins that he made in his life. He suffered 1 or 2 years in the ghetto, and finally he died. That's erased all his sins. How many times do we have to ask to put the phones off? Anyway, so now what happened with him is that he took the souls of the people, depending who they were. If they're righteous, every righteous person makes some sins. So he had to pay them for that. So some suffer more. Not all the Jews suffer equally in the Holocaust. Some got lucky. Some were hiding in some kind of attic for 2 years and the Goyim was giving them food and they really didn't suffer in the camps. They only were hiding for 2 years like in jail. But it's much better than working in a freezing weather without clothes and such hard work without food, right? So not all of them suffer equally. But those who needed to suffer a lot, suffer a lot. Those who didn't need to suffer so much, suffer less. Some did not suffer at all, a year or two before they left to America or to other places. And there were people who died right away and they did not suffer at all. That means once the Nazis came, in the first week they killed a lot of Jews already, before they sent them to torture them for a year or two. So this is all calculated by Hashem, who deserve what. Once the people finish to get what they deserve, now depends how many sins they make. If they still make so many sins, then it's not enough what they got. If they got killed and they suffer 5 minutes, it's not enough to erase 7 years of sins. So what happened? They get another chance. They've been reincarnated. Everybody who sits here were here before, in different bodies. The fact that we're here means that we're all losers. We all failed in our previous test. If somebody is righteous, he doesn't need to be reincarnated again and keep Shabbat and Tefillin and give tzedakah. Why? He did it in his previous life. He doesn't need to be here. He passed. We all failed. That's why we're here. So now, if we're going to fail again this time, there's no guarantee that we're going to be reincarnated again. It could be over. God will send us to a much worse option, which is heaven, hell, depending who we are. So now the point is that everything that happens to us, we bring to ourselves. So you're asking about the Holocaust, if they knew in advance that the Germans will become a strong nation, what could they do about it? It wasn't in their hand. God sent Hitler into power. And especially he took a person that was not even German, he was Austrian, he was a second-class citizen, he was barbarian, he wasn't intellectual like the rest of the German. If you read his life story, he was the last one that would have a chance. He was in jail before. He was the last one that should have gone into power. God wanted us to see that it's his hand. He did not take a very intellectual German that was already like high degrees and all that and made him the leader, because then we would think it's politics. He took someone out of nowhere that nobody even believed that such a person can occupy such an empire, and he did everything. So the point is, we could have prevented if we would behave better in the 100 years prior to that. Now you should also see the way the Nazis were successful. They only were successful in countries that were civilized, that the Jews became like the Goyim. In countries that the Jews stayed righteous and old-fashioned, they did not get there. They did not get to Bukhara, to your grandparents. Why? Because they were religious over there, 70, 80 years ago, or 100 years ago. They did not go to Iraq, Because 100 years ago the Jews were religious there. They did not go to Iran. They did not go to Syria. They were on the way to Egypt, to Jordan, to Eretz Israel. Over there, God did not give them permission to touch the Jews. So the Sephardi countries did not get held by him except two. Which one? Greece. When the Jews became also assimilated with the Goyim. 60,000 Jews died in Greece. And Libya, because the Italians were in charge over there, and the Jews started to become like the Italians. So it's interesting. Places that the Jews left religion, Hashem sent them there. Places that the Jews were keeping Shabbat, everyone modest, living according to the Torah, they had plans to go there. But by the time they came to that place, they lost their power. Of course, I'm not God, and I'm not an angel, and I'm not sitting in a court of heaven to know why God does things. This is everything I told you, it's a logical assumption. This is what the rabbi said in the last 50 years. Ashkenaz, Sephardi, this is the way the rabbi explained the Holocaust. But of course, we do not even know 1% of the reasons of Hashem, what He does and why. We have no idea. Maybe Hashem took all the Jews from 3,000 years and gathered them together to one generation and gave them a punishment and they all went to heaven. How do we know? We have no way to know. One thing we know for sure, and about that nobody can argue, that whatever Hashem does to each individual, Jew, Goy, male, female, babies, everyone, animals, they all deserve it. There's nothing like this by Hashem to give someone something he doesn't deserve. For bad. For good, yes. He gives us things we don't deserve. Some of us don't even deserve to breathe. If we would see, if we would know how bad we do to the world every day, we would wonder why God keeps supplying me oxygen. If I'm doing so many bad things, if I make so many people miserable every day, why is He so generous to me and give me money and a car and money to buy my things to go destroy other people? It's a wonder. Because God does not interfere with our free choice. Yes?
It was this famous Gemara that says that it's not all in this world. Sometimes a person gets what they deserve, a combination of this world and the next world. Like Sadi Corallo, he gets bad in this world, so he can only get Olam Haba in the next world. Rosh Hashanah, he gets good in this world, but in the next world he doesn't get Olam Haba, and they have to come back in Gilgal. So I think that's what we're trying to say, that it's not all in this world, but a combination of this world and the next world.
Well, I'm glad that you brought it up. As a matter of fact, I will read to you what the Torah says about it directly from the text.
Because there's a Gemara, I suppose.
Yeah, but you say the Gemara, but the Gemara is based on the Torah. Here. Sorry about that. Here. The Torah said, you should know that your God is the faithful God. He's keeping His covenant and His kindness to His lovers, those who keep His mitzvot, for 1,000 generations. And they, His enemies, to their face, cash to destroy them, will not delay the payment to the wicked people. He will pay them cash. Why? This is the way God behaves with the people in this world. If a person is righteous, he has more mitzvot than sins, then he has 20% bad things, but 80% good things. He goes to shul, he daven, he learns Torah, he gives tzedakah, he helps others, he's nice to his wife, he's teaching his children Torah. He's a good person. He does almost everything the Torah said, but of course he makes mistakes. Here he spoke Lashon Hara, here once in a while he stole, here he did not pay on time a loan. There are many things that religious people do. Unfortunately, it's a way of life. So what happened? God does not want us to go to hell or to be and to get judged after our death. Why? Because after all, we did 70-80% right. So what happened? He begins to pay us for our sins in this life. Punishments, bankruptcy, problem, jail, police, partner steal his money, the stock market crash on him, his son was sick, he got sick. So many problems that some religious people you can see have it. But it's only for 20, 30 years and it's over. Before you realize it's like a blink of the eye, this life. Oh, it's over. However, when they come there, and God says to look, you did 70-80% good, but these are the sins that you made. But for that sin, I paid you. You see, there was that sickness. For that problem, you lost all your money for all the stealing. We're done with that. For this, I paid you. For that, I paid you. Now you clean. You go right away to heaven. You enjoy the pleasure that I promised in the Torah for the righteous Jews for eternity. That's one way. The wicked people, that they do 80% bad and 20% good. They fast once in a while, Yom Kippur, once in their life they make Kiddush, once in a life they give charity to a poor person. They do good things, you know, once in a while they do good things, right? So what happened to these people? Because 90 or 80% of the things they do is bad, so God will say, I'm not giving them anything? No. He is the God of justice, and He does not receive bribe, and He does not waste judgment even by a bit. That's what the Torah says. Ani el ha'emet ve'atzedek. I am the perfect God of justice. Everybody gets exactly what he deserves. You may not see it because you are limited. You don't have the ability to see over periods of few generations what a person really deserves right now. But I know what he deserves. I remember all his life. I remember everything he did in his life. Other people around him, they only see one or two things from his life. They do not know what this person deserves. Nobody knows about his friends, even about his wife, what she really deserves, good or bad. Nobody knows. Nobody tells his secrets to others. People that do bad things, they never tell anyone. They keep it a secret even though they have very long beard. And one day, God forbid, something happened to them, so the people say, where is the justice? The justice is there. You just don't know what they did. Alright, so now, the point is that when the righteous people do a lot of good and some bad, they get punished for the bad. When the wicked people do a lot of bad and a little bit good, they get cars, nice mansions, success in their career, beautiful wife, children. This kid is a lawyer, this kid is a doctor, his dream, vacation, he go on a cruise, he go and play baseball, he has hobbies, everything he dreams about somehow work out for him. And in this world, and it's only temporary. Now he comes in front of Hashem, he says, oh wait, with all the respect, God, I admit that I did not keep Shabbat. I admit that I did a lot of bad. What about the good I did? Remember this guy Moshe came to me, did not have food to eat for his children for the holiday, I gave him $2,000 check. Where is my payment for that? God will show him 2 Mercedes in your driveway. That was your dream, right? I'm done with it. What happened? One time I sent that kid to yeshiva for 5 years, I paid tuition. Where is that? You got a mansion in Connecticut, $10 million. What do you want? It's not enough? You gave the kid $10,000, I gave you $10 million for that. What else? You own a baseball team. That was your dream, right? 20 years you dreamed about it. I made you succeed. Why? Because you fasted every year once in Yom Kippur. So I gathered the 20 years, 20 Yom Kippur, I gave you this team. What else? I saved you from that, I saved you from that accident, I saved you from that thief. The government was after you to put you in jail. I got you the right lawyer, he got you out, connection. Believe me. He pays them 100%. Now you don't have to believe me. That's why I like to come with the screen. I am reading word by word. Paying. I'm the faithful God who keep my word, my covenant, and my kindness to my lovers who keep my mitzvot for 1,000 generations. But we only live one generation. For le'elef dor, 1,000 generations, I will pay the righteous people who are faithful to me and listen to my Torah. And my enemies, those who do not keep my mitzvot, I'm paying them cash right away to destroy them. There's no worse punishment than this. La'avid, ivadon. To destroy them. To destroy them. I will not delay their payments. I will pay them cash. What are we learning from this if we are a little bit intelligent? That God says in the Torah clearly, I do not delay the payment to the wicked people. What do we understand from that? That to the righteous people, He delayed the payment. So what are we complaining so much? We're complaining because we ignore it. That's all. We never read it good enough.
Beautiful.
It's not that this world was made to improve a person.
It's hard to hear this. I don't know. It's noisy all the time.
I thought that this world was created to improve a person, no?
The world was created as a place of a test.
Yeah, so why would God reward the wicked? Doesn't He want the wicked to become good too?
I'm going to read you some sentences here from the Torah you'll understand. Here. I'm torturing you to test you. This is the purpose of life, right in front of you. I'm torturing you, to test you, to know what's in your heart. Are you going to keep my law, my mitzvot, or not? So I'm starving you, I'm giving you food that you do not know, or your parents, to inform you that a person does not live thanks to the food alone. A person has to live based on what came out of God in Mount Sinai, out of the mouth of God. That's what keeps a person alive. What do we see here? That in the eyes of God, just to eat and to sleep and to run, that's not life. The dogs have it as well. If He wanted us to live like this, it would make us chimpanzees. What do we need to be? Jews, so important, my children, my chosen people. Make you a monkey in a safari. You jump, you swim, you have 5 wives. You don't have mortgage, 30 years, no problems, no vaccine, no doctor's appointment, cholesterol. They don't have all this nonsense. They live, look, go to the Bronx Zoo, look at the lion. 30 years on the rock over there. He gets food, he has everything you want. What? This is the dream of every person. To get to the level of that lion in the Bronx Zoo. 35 years on the rock in the sun. Right? That's what all the billionaires, what's their dream? That one day they retire and they should be like that lion. So obviously that's not what God made us, to be like Him. If He wanted us, He would make us like Him. Why? It's better than us? The Torah said we're better than Him. Why He has better life than us? The answer is because we have a different purpose. What's our purpose? To pass the test. What's the test? To suffer. You do good, you get nothing. You do bad, you're earning a lot of money. You stole, you're making a lot of money. You're honest, you don't have money to buy matzah for Leil HaSeder. I'm honest, and I don't have food. All these liars, look at the cars they driving. What is it? It's a part of the test. Here, I torture you, I starve you. What for? To check what's in your heart. Are you going to stick to my laws and be faithful? Or are you going to rebel against me? Why? What's this whole test for? Pay attention. You should know. In your heart, you should know very well. The same way a father is torturing his son, that's the way your God is torturing you. You should keep the laws and you should fear God. And be careful not to forget the laws and what God showed you in Mount Sinai. Why is it? So why is He doing it? Okay, He's testing us. What happens if we're going to pass the test? What's going to happen? Here. If you keep my laws that I'm ordering you, it's for your own benefits. You're not really doing Him a favor. It's for your own good. The Torah says, "La tov lecha," for your own benefit. Then the Torah says, I'm giving you the life and the good, the dead and the bad. That I order you today to love your God and to follow His ways and to keep His laws and mitzvot. That you should live. Life and death, I gave you the blessing and the curse. You should choose the life that you should live. What do you mean you should live? The dog doesn't live? Vini, the goy, doesn't live? The head of the mafia doesn't live? Bin Laden doesn't live? Arafat didn't live? They all live. So why are you telling me? If I'm going to follow your laws and mitzvot, I'm going to live. But every liar and every crook on the street is also alive. What are you telling me? That if I keep the mitzvot, I'm going to be alive? What do you understand from that? That what we call life and what God calls life is completely two different things. Completely. When God refers to the word life, it's eternal life, spiritual life, connection. How do you know I'm right? We say it on Shabbat every day when we open, when we take the Torah out. ואתם הדבקים בהשם אלוקיכם, those who are glued to Hashem, very close to Him, חיים כולכם, you're all alive. So those who are not in touch with Hashem, they're not alive. If you're not convinced, I'll give you another proof. The Torah says in Sefer Yechezkel, the Torah says that that Hashem swore on His name. This is the highest promise, the highest level. What is the promise? He says, Chai Hashem, I swear in my name. God says that I'm not interested to kill the dead person. Rather, I'm interested that he will return from his evil way, make tshuva, that he should leave. That he should leave. So what do we understand from that? Can you kill a dead person? What does it mean? I'm not interested to kill the dead. He's dead already. Every non-religious Jew, in the eyes of his Creator, is considered dead. So God says, all this death punishment that the Torah gave, it's not because I want to take revenge on my children and make them suffer, no. The punishments of God is not torture just to make revenge, no, to wake us up. I am anxious that they will return from their bad ways, that they should live forever, not live like a dog. A dog that does whatever he wants, he also alive. The goy is also alive. The Mechanel Shabbos is driving to his picnic on Shabbat with his cigar every Shabbat for 7 years. Is not alive? The answer is no. God called him dead, disconnected. The wire was cut, yes.
How will the person know he's dead when he's continuously rewarded?
The person will know by reading the Torah. If you don't learn Torah, you don't know. I want to ask you a question between me and you. Do you think there is any non-religious Jew in the world, one that knows the purpose of life? I can swear on my life, there's not even one that knows. If you don't believe me, let's stand on Ocean Parkway, stop all the non-religious Jews and ask them this question. There are a few questions that none of them know. One is, what's the purpose of life? Nobody knows. Second, what makes him a Jew? Take any Jew you want, ask him, מה עושה אותך יהודי? What makes you a Jew? None of them knows. How do they know what makes them a Jew if they don't even know what Judaism is all about? You ask them, what's Judaism? What's the meaning of the word Yehudi? None of them knows. That's problem number 2. Problem number 3, you ask them, where is the justice of God? Righteous people seems to be suffer sometimes, and wicked people celebrate. Can you explain how is it possible? So what are they going to say? There's no God. That's the answer. If there would be God, you wouldn't see people with beard and black hats go to the chambers. You wouldn't see religious people with cancer. You wouldn't see it if there would be a justice. What's their mistake? Their mistake is that they think that the entire life is from the day you're born and you die and it's over. They do not know that you visited here many times before, and it's only another station in your traveling, the soul. Plus, they do not really know that there are some people who look righteous, but they're really far away from being righteous. Not what they look from the outside, it's really what they are. You know how many people that keep Shabbat every day, but they're not nice to their wife? Do you know what a serious sin is? To abuse your wife verbally. I'm not talking to beat her up, that's like almost like a murder. I'm talking to abuse her, to give her bad words, not to help in the house, not to help with the children, to put her down. And you know, like so many people with very long beard, they may do. And in their head, she's a woman. What do you mean? Oh, a woman, you know, she was born to serve me. What? She's my what? Didn't the Torah say that she got her life, Eve got it from Adam? She has to be the servant of Adam, Ezer Kenegdo. They only learn how many obligations a husband has to his wife. They probably don't even do one of the hundreds of the things that he has to do for his wife. So how can he be righteous? Or to his children. A person that lets his children walk in the streets of Brooklyn, play here, play there, go to this school, go to that school, all day doesn't know where these children are. Then he wonders why age 18 they become drug dealers. He wonders why. So that's his fault. A part of our obligation is to raise our children in the right way. So you may say, but it's impossible to follow your children in Brooklyn. It's not Monsey here, Rabbi. Here we have a lot of goyim, you have a lot of people around. What are we going to do? We lock them in a room 20 years? The answer is, if you see that you cannot raise your children in a certain place, you must move out of this place. Doesn't matter where it is, even if it's Jerusalem. If you see that in Jerusalem you cannot raise your children, you move to Saudi Arabia. Any place you're going to be able to raise your children without problems, with modesty, without drugs, without violence. without cursing on the street, without television every corner, without all these wicked people that eat bad things, you have to smell what they eat, your neighbors, you gotta move out of there. There's no other way, because this life is too precious to blow it. 70 years, half of it goes on sleeping, food, bathroom, shopping, work. How much time we have to earn? 20% of our life. We're gonna ruin it. So people don't know what's the purpose of life. That's why they wonder why the religious world look like this today. Yes.
The Torah knows about the future.
Yes.
What will the Jewish nation against Israel?
If the Torah knew about the future,
Yeah, like about the Germany.
right?
It's not just about what will happen in Zedon, but what will be the Israeli nation and the Jewish nation.
I cannot hear a word. I'm sorry.
What will is the Jewish nation and the Jewish people in the future? So we do it, so we bad.
What's gonna be?
What happens to the Jewish nation? The Jewish future.
What's gonna be to the Jews in the future?
Yes, Jews and Jewish nation.
You know, according to the Torah, we are entering the time of Mashiach. When nobody really knows. It will be tomorrow. We're already in a time that it can come any second now. Because the Torah and the Gemara gave conditions, there will be signs in the world that will happen before Mashiach will arrive. The signs that the Gemara gave 50 years ago, almost none of them were here. None of them. So that means if Mashiach would come 100 years ago, it would be a miracle, because none of these conditions were fulfilled. None of them. But now, everything the Gemara say happened already. So now any minute it can come. We are ready. When is it gonna be? It can be tomorrow, it can be another 5 years, it can be another 10 years, nobody really knows. To come and stand on the stage and promise when Mashiach will come is very foolish, because when he doesn't come in that day, the people's gonna say, look at these rabbis, they make up stories. The truth is nobody knows, only God knows. I'll give you an example. Even when you speak to a dead person through seance, you know what seance? Medium, Ouija boards. There's ways to speak to people who died already. And when you ask them about Mashiach, the glass moves from the letters. You know what I'm talking about? You put a piece of carbon paper with the letters, and you light candles. And you light candles, you put the light off, and you're calling a soul of a person. It's against the Torah. We're not permitted to do it, but they go into it. So you call a dead person and you begin to speak to him. He could be 50 years dead already. When you ask them about Mashiach and the end of the world, the glass explodes. There's no permission to tell these things. Yaakov Avinu in the Torah, he gathered all his sons. He wanted to tell them how the end gonna be and when it's gonna be. The Torah says Hashem confused him, he couldn't tell. Why God doesn't want us to know when the end gonna be? Why? Because it will eliminate our free choice. I'll explain what I mean. If we would be able to know for sure that Mashiach comes in 20 years from now, God forbid. 20 years, wow, another 20 years. We were sure it's going to happen in 2-3 weeks. Another 20 years, I'm tired from this mitzvot. Let me go back to my old ways, do whatever I want. 19 years from now, a year before Mashiach comes, Rabbi, I'm going to be such a righteous person. I'll make such a tshuva. So the world is worthless. It will ruin the plan of Hashem. Hashem wanted us to be surprised. When the end going to be, the end of our life, we do not know. When the end of this world going to be, we will never know. If we would know the future, we don't have a free choice. We don't have a free choice. What does God need us here? There's no more test. What are you going to earn if you know the future? It's no test. No test, no reward. No reward, Hashem doesn't need us here. So the answer is, we will never know. But I will tell you what's going to happen in the time of Mashiach. When Mashiach comes, all the righteous Jews from all the previous generations that you read about them in the Torah and those you did not know, the righteous only. The wicked, there's no chance to resurrect. Only the righteous. They will come back to life, resurrect. But before they'll come back to life, God will make tunnels under the oceans from all over the world. Tunnels. And all the bones of all the Jews from all the cemeteries in the world, wherever they are buried, will begin to roll. You know how you roll a big ball on the ground? They'll begin to roll, all of them, to the land of Israel. And over there, together with the righteous Jews that are buried in Israel, they're all going to get up to life. Those who were defected in their body, they're missing an arm, they're blind, they don't have feet, whatever the case was, they come back to life where they used to be, to show them how they used to be. Then they fall down again, and then they get up again, this time with no more defects. And all the people that will come back to life will live here. That's going to be maximum by the year 6,000, maximum. We are 5,769 already. So that's maximum 232 years from now, maximum, according to the 6,000 years that God set for this world. And the 7,000 years, from 6,000 to 7,000, all the people who came back to life would live here without dying. No death anymore. No babies, no death, none of these things. No Yetzer Hara, no desires, no anger, no jealousy. You don't have to go to work. You're going to have money like sand on the ground. Read by the Rambam. Nobody will have to worry. The Jews will finally learn Torah without any resistance. They don't have to go to work. They don't have to worry about money, about doctors, sickness, taking care of the diapers, the children, the divorce. None of these things will be in the world. It will be a perfect world. No wars, no nothing. The Goyim, the righteous Gentiles that will stay, they're also going to stay. Those who kept the 7 laws that God told them. They're going to stay around Israel. And the Jews will be the light to all the non-Jews that will survive. Which non-Jews will survive? Which? From the Christians, almost no one. Why? Because they believe in Son of God. It's against the 7 laws of Noah. So they're all wicked. If they're going to stop believing in this foolish religion, as I already influenced some of them to leave this nonsense and to just keep the 7 laws, and it made sense to them, especially after the debate. So if they're going to leave Christianity and they keep the 7 laws as the Torah told the non-Jews to keep, and they're good to Jews and they're not doing anything against the nation of Israel, they will survive. And what's going to happen? They're going to learn from the Jews about the secrets of God. Because remember, it's going to be a wonderful world to live in. After the year 7,000, then all the souls that came back in the body, remember, we're going to be like in a situation of Adam before he made the sin. When Adam was born, he didn't have the Yetzer Hara inside, the evil inclination. It was outside. We're going to be in the same situation like Adam before the sin. At the year 7,000, then all the souls will go finally out of this world to a place of eternity. That's the eternity I'm always speaking about. It's called Olam HaNeshamot, the world of the souls. Over there, no more. No more Kaddish, no more Mishnayot, no more Yom Mitzvot. That's it. There is no more going up and down. All the dead people that right now are in heaven, and those who are in hell, and those who are being reincarnated in raw material, or in flowers, or in trees, or in animals, or in human beings like us, or by autistic kids, it's all reincarnations of souls. All these people, those who are in heaven, can still go up and down, depend what the children are doing. If their children do a lot of good things, every year on Rosh Hashanah, Hashem calls this righteous person back and judge him again. This year, many good things happened from your tzedakah. All the students you taught Torah, they all made a lot of people religious. You deserve a raise. You deserve to go higher. Those who left bad things in this world, every year Hashem sees the damage that they make. I'll give you an example. One Jew had money. Before he died, he had 2 options. One is to leave it to his sons that are not keeping Shabbat. They're going out to...
Satan. It's
One, where was I? One person before he died,
2 options.
he has 2 options. He has mercy on his children. He doesn't want his children to have difficult life. But his children don't keep mitzvot. They drive on Shabbat, they go to nightclubs, they don't speak clean language, they don't learn Torah, they don't put tefillin, they do nothing. So he has $1 million now. If he will give it to his children, and his children gonna take his money and drive to vacation on Shabbat, buy themselves a nice car that they can drive extra on Shabbat, buy non-kosher food with his money, go to make all kinds of terrible crimes with his money, this $1 million that he left his children, he's gonna have to be judged severely for that. And every sins that his children gonna do, he's gonna get punished for that. But if he took the $1 million and he gave it to poor people who sit and learn Torah all day, and these people, he established a yeshiva, he left them the money, and with his money, they're learning Torah every day, for years. Every year, Rosh Hashanah, Hashem calls him back and says, listen, this year, the 20 people that sit and learn Torah thanks to your money all day for the last year, they made you 5 billion mitzvot. Why? It's all thanks to you. So now you're getting a huge push up. Why? Because even though you're dead already, you're continuing to earn. Or God forbid, if you did something bad, you're continuing to lose. So it's all dependent. But once we're going to finish the last 1,000, which is the year 7,000, no more up and down. The soul will get the final place for it forever and ever. It's never going to end. Billions of years, this is your level. You cannot go up and down. It's all depends on what we're going to do now, tomorrow, tonight, next week. It's all in our hand. Some people, when they leave this world, they won't know what to do from sorrow and pain. They'll pull their hair out. What a fool I was. It was right around the corner. The billions were right around me. Why did I waste my life on driving on Shabbat to play baseball, watching stupid shows on television and leaving God and rebel against Him? The problem that people do it is because they do not know what they expect. The people would only know to what hole they dig in to put themselves in. None of them will do what they do. None of them. The people do it for two reasons. One is ignorance. They do not even imagine how strict is God. They have no idea. If they would only begin to read, they will begin to shake. How can it be? How can it be? My answer to this is, it can be. How do we know it can be? We just saw the Holocaust. The last generation. The whole world saw. God shows you when He's angry what can happen to people. No one can deny it. It happened in front of our eyes. We see movies about it. We see live movies. So we saw that for a period of 5-6 years, millions of Jews were suffering such hell in this world in front of our eyes. Why should we deny the things that the Torah says if we already saw that it's possible? The same way we know, and I'm finishing right now, give me 2 more minutes. The same way is that God says that if you're going to follow all my laws and the mitzvot, I'm going to reward you in your end. And everybody asks, where is that end? Where is it? We never see righteous people getting, before they die, any reward from God. The righteous person is sick, the wicked person is sick. They both died in the hospital. When did we see a place that God takes all the rabbis and all the righteous Jews and give them such a prize in this life? We never saw it, and we will never see it. You know why? Because the reward is not here. It's not even here. The Torah says even if God wanted to give the righteous people the reward here, there's nowhere from where to give them. Because the reward is not material. Material, you have one word. One Jew that learned one day Torah, he deserves to get a prize more than the entire world. How God's going to share the world to so many thousands of Jews? How He's going to give each one of them the world if there's only one world? If you take all the money in the world, all the fame, the glory, the desire, everything people dream about, it will not be enough to cover 1 hour of heaven. That's what the Gemara says. The Gemara says if you take all the pleasure of this world for the entire generation for 70 years, for the entire people, it will not be equal to 1 hour in heaven. That's how great the righteous Jews are going to get if they're going to pass the test. And you know what's the sad news? The sad news that it's not so difficult. It's really not difficult to keep it. How do I know it's not difficult? Two ways. There's two ways for me to prove to you that it's really not difficult. One is to read what God said, and second is based on experience. People who were not religious, and they started to change. 6 months later, you knock on their door and interview them. Are you miserable? None of them will say yes. Do you miss your whole life? 90% of them will tell you no. I see it all the time. You love to keep Shabbat? I can't wait all week for that. People used to do such terrible things. When they started to keep religion, after a few months, they get out of their bad habits and they begin to love it more and more and more. All weeks we wait for Shabbos. All week, when Friday is going to come already. When Shabbos is over, people get depressed. Why do you have to smell good smell? To cheer up the soul. Why? Because you feel down. Why? Shabbos over, another week. It's a spiritual special day. The soul enjoy it. If you don't try, you don't know what you lose. The Torah says, after the actions follows the heart. Not the opposite like we think. We think, Rabbi, let me like it first, and if I like it, I do it. God said, don't like it, hate it, doesn't matter. You begin to do it. Guarantee you begin to love it. I'll give you an example. When I went to the army, the first month, they kill you over there. The first month of the army is the hardest month. It's called tironut, preparation. You don't know anything about the army. You come, a spoiled kid from high school. People have long hair, ponytails, this, cell phone. They come, right away. Hey, you come with me right away. There's a dirty bathroom here. You begin to clean, die over there. You want to die. It's such depression, I'm telling you. And some of these kids are wealthy kids. They come from very expensive houses. They have maids in the house. All of a sudden, in 1 second, they become garbage. One little 18 years old, you on the floor, begin to run. Don't talk when I talk. They treat you like garbage over there. This is the whole system to destroy your personality, to put you down. Some people kill themselves.
Israeli army?
Yeah, in Israeli army. It's so dirty over there how it starts that you don't believe. You see the soldiers in the first 2-3 days how they have tears in their eyes. They seem like they just came to Auschwitz. That's how they feel. But what happened? You join the army with tears, and by the end of the month, you leave this lousy place with tears. All the soldiers almost dying, crying. I wish we could stay. How can it be? Terrible food, terrible bathroom, showers are clogged, water up to here, bags, old blankets with lices in it, humidity, terrible. I'm telling you, you see the place, you want to die. They miss the place. They don't want to leave. I wish we could stay. Everybody. Why? A person gets used to everything.
Yeah.
Everything, you get used to it. You don't like food? You want to like it? It's in your hand. Eat it once, twice, 3, 4. The more you eat it, the more you're going to like it. This is the way God made us. And that's why people can become religious, because it's against all odds. Nobody can become religious unless God made a system in our psychology that when you begin to do it, you begin to love it. And if you're not convinced about what I say, it's right here, look. And I will finish with this, and if you have more questions, you're going to have to be in person. It says, this mitzvot that I'm giving you today, it's not far away from you. It's not in heaven. To say who's going to go up to the sky and bring it to us to teach us. It's not across the ocean. To say who's going to go across the ocean and bring it to us that we should do it. It's so close to you. It's in your mouth and in your heart to do it. I'm giving you the life and the good, the death and the bad, that I'm ordering you to love me, to follow my ways, that you should live and expand and get the blessing of your God. I should reward you in your end. So what are we learning from here? That we say, wow, it's so difficult, Rabbi. I cannot change so much. I do a little bit. What did God say? Enough with your complaints. Enough. And another place in the Torah and say, Ogatem et Hashem bedivrechem. I'm sick and tired to hear your complaints against my religion. It's so easy, and you keep complaining that it's difficult. What did he say here? It's right here, look at the source. Dvarim Lamed. Dvarim 30. What does it say? It's not across the ocean. It's not in the sky. It's right in your hand. It's a piece of cake to do it. Why it's a piece of cake? If you begin to do, 3 months later, you see it's easy. You enjoy to learn Torah. What do you think? All these people are foolish. Hundreds of thousands of non-religious Jews in the last 20 years join yeshivot every day. Some of them learn all day, for years. Some of them learn few hours a day, depending on the situation. They love the Torah. They enjoy it. They can't wait until the shiur will start. Some of them stay in the recess. You have recess in our yeshiva, and you won't see half of the yeshiva sit. They eat 5 minutes lunch. Between 1 and 3 they have recess. They sit to learn. Nobody. They can go to sleep. They can go play basketball. They can do whatever they want. They want to sit and learn. Why? A soul, there's nothing that the soul enjoys more than the truth of God, which is the Torah. Why we don't enjoy it now? Why? The answer is because we are so filthy spiritually. We are contaminated so much from our sins that once we begin to purify the soul will shine like a diamond. A diamond that is dirty, it looks like nothing, like garbage. Start cleaning the Jewish soul, which is a diamond. The more you clean it, the more it's going to shine. The more you clean it, the more the value of it goes up. It's all about problems with knowledge, ignorance. If we would learn more, we will do more. If we will do more, we will learn more. If we would learn more, we will do more. Until we can reach the highest level. And you see it all around. I have students that I picked up from the street 14 years ago. 13 years ago. They were walking with a bag, with jeans and sandals, Queens Boulevard, come from the kibbutz, one guy works in a car wash, the other one in a restaurant, completely no knowledge in religion. Some of them are big rabbis in Israel today. Big rabbis. I went to visit one of them